Hello everyone, my name is Greg and I dev stuff. Welcome everyone to episode 10 of the tactics game in Unity. In this episode we will move character around the map, taking into account his maximum distance of movement. Let's start by defining maximum distance our character can move. So select the character, open character script. Here we want to add movement points field of type float. With default value of 50, one square in the grid will cost you 10 points to move through. So 50 points will mean your character can move through 5 cells on the grid, if there is no obstruction or difficult terrain. The reason why we use the factor of 10 is that this will allow us to simplify the calculation of difficult terrain later on in the tutorial. For example, moving through the forest will cost 2 times more movement points, so it will cost 20 movement points, therefore your character will be able to move 2 squares, before exhausting if he is moving through forest tiles. And because he will have 10 leftovers move points, he can move through 1 additional clear tile. You have a field for movement points in the character component, so if you want to increase the distance of movement of your character, you need to change this field. Now we want to calculate all the squares our character can reach. To do this, we will be using our pathfinding, but instead of calculating the path to the specific position, we will be calculating for each node around the character to determine where this character can reach with his movement action. Open pathfinding. We are going to utilize part of the find path method, but we will redesign it to calculate all the reachable nodes, instead of finding paths between two specific nodes. Create a new method called calculate walkable nodes, path starting position, total amount of move points your character have, and reference to the list of path nodes called toHighlight. We will use this list to highlight all the reachable nodes. I will not be describing everything in details because I already did get through this pathfinding script with you in previous episodes. I will only explain changes we will be doing. Now we will be dissecting the find path method. For our new method, copy start node. Copy both open and closed list. Copy the while cycle and get the current node. Now we don't need this part. We're not going to determine the most efficient node to calculate based on f value, because we are not trying to aim for any specific directions. We are spreading across all the possible directions our character can move. We are calculating every node around the character. Remove the current node out of open list and add current node to closed list. Then skip the end node destination reached check, because we don't have destination is reached check. We will need to read all the neighboring nodes, so copy this neighbor node cycle. Now we need to cycle through all the neighbor nodes and calculate the cost to reach this node. Then if the move cost to this node is more than move points available to this character, then skip this node, because this character can't reach this node. We don't need h value and don't have end node, so remove it. So let's go through the code quickly one more time. We get the starting position, and based on that we get the start node, the node of origin, the node where our character is standing right now. Then we add the start node into the open list and start the cycle, which will be cycling until we exhaust all the nodes out of open list, which will mean we have calculated all possible nodes our character can reach. Then we determine all the neighboring nodes around the currently selected node for calculations. Then we go through all the neighboring nodes by doing checks for it being already calculated, for it being walkable, calculating move cost into this node. Then if the move cost to this node is not higher than available amount of character move points, we add this neighbor node into open list. Then we pick up the very first node in the open list and repeat the process until there is no more nodes in the open list. Meanwhile, closed list will contain all the nodes which is already past the calculation and is reachable or walkable by our character. So we can use the closed list to highlight all the nodes our character can reach. So add the whole closed list into the past to highlight list using add range. Good! This episode is brought to you by generous support of people on Patreon and members on YouTube. If you want to join them, link to my Patreon in the description and join button available right now on YouTube. Now on the move character, let's on the start call and create calculate walkable terrain. Inside call calculate walkable nodes and pass target character. Get the character component on the target character and pass it movement points. Create a list and pass this list to the calculate walkable nodes. Good, this will calculate the walkable nodes, and we can highlight them, which we will do now. Create serialized field grid highlight. Assign reference to a character in the editor and to the grid highlight. Enable the move character and disable the grid control. Open grid highlight script and comment out the testing part of the code. Okay, we have an out of order execution error. Before we start fixing this, let's clean our tabs in Visual Studio. Leave only Pathfinding and Move Character. If you don't have them opened, open them in the editor. So, what is happening? This start is being executed before this start, and because the pathfinding init initiates the whole passing grid, trying to work with pathfinding before initiating it causes an error. So we need to force the order of execution of pathfinding to be before the move character script. This way, it will ensure that our pathfinding is prepped before attempting to pathfinding on it. Let's test this. Okay, this removes the error, but there is no movement points. Oh, of course, I did not call highlight with the list of walkable nodes. Now we have the issue the highlight takes position to highlight on the grid in the list of vector2 ints. Instead we want to pass path nodes. So let's create an overload of this method, which will do the same but use path nodes instead. And another out of order execution problem. This one let's fix by changing start into the awake. Awake always executed before start, but if you have multiple awake calls, they will be executed in the order of execution similar to the start, and in that case you can end up in the similar situation as with bunch of starts. So the accepted idea is that you use awake if you initiating of the class has get component and initialization of the lists and classes. Meanwhile, preliminary calculations should be done in the start instead of awake. Let's test this. As you can see, our night girl highlight all the positions she can reach. Now what we want to do is, when we click on the map, we should start moving towards the position, if we determine that she in the matter of fact can reach it. For this, we will create a new method in the pathfinding called Traceback, which will use calculated data we have made to determine where our character can move. to trace back to the origin, and then move this character to the selected destination using traced back path. This method will return the list of past nodes. It will get the selected character as a parameter and X and Y position of the selected node to move towards. Create the list of nodes. Then, if we click on something that is outside the boundaries, return out of this method with null. Actually, move this check above the list initialization. Get the endpoint pass node using the position we passed, then move back to the character by using the parent nodes. Actually, we don't need selected character as a parameter at all here. What's going to happen is, because we have calculated everything already, now the only thing we need to do is to move backwards using the calculated data, and this is what we're doing here. Open move character script, and now we need to get the path using Traceback method we just created. In the update, when you press left mouse button, call Traceback instead of find path. Because the path is traced back, reverse the path. Okay, let's test this. She is moving but not animating. We forgot to add character animator to the character prefabs. My bad. Now if you click somewhere, the character should move into that direction. But if you click one more time, the character will move back to her original position, then pass towards the destination. This is normal because after we're done moving, we need to clean up the pathfinding grid and update the walkable terrain to determine where your character can reach from a new position. We will do this in the next episode. Good, this is it for this episode. If you have any questions or any idea about code, please leave your comment below. If you're interested in seeing what will come out of this, please subscribe. If you want to support further, you can find my Patreon in the description. Special thank you to Andrew V. Long and the Salt Hash Do for their generous support. With best regards, see you in the next episode.